we're at this point now where there's various Circle Knights on the table. Each Circle Knight has, I don't want to say a shtick, but obviously we've got a peasant, we've got a Anthony's about to play one of his characters.
We've
so
seen some people in action.
Right. So we kind of know it, and will Anthony play his Gentry character? He has a Gentry wizard and all this kind of junk. So we'll see what happens. But I've got the lowest numbered component, and as I'm deciding what it's going to be, and and I get the same thing. I suppose you won't release this till after we play the damn game anyway, which hopefully will be soon. But I get this component,
right.
So it's knowledge. I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm rolling the dice, not knowledge, because I'm thinking, what the F am I going to put in here? Because and so I get knowledge. So it's a matter now of like, okay, this is what I'm going to at least say something about, just a little snippet. And as I'm doing it, and I realize that there's some other things I forget where it was in preparation, or just I realized that like certain things that could be knowledge or like what items that I could say, I can see myself as the player saying, I guess I'll pick this character because that character makes sense. And I really...
But that's okay.
Yeah. No, I got...
That's why the knowledge is partial, number one.
Right, yeah.
And it also relates to region. It's often I even mentioned it a little bit in the rules, if you have a knight who's from that region, it's in Tomarion, I'm from Tomarion, I'll go.
Right.
That's actually kind of cool. You can provide a great deal of information about the region as the GM, speaking as the lens from that particular player character's mind. Or if the player was, big on reading the setting material, they're happy to jump in with that.
Right.
Talking to the other knights,
that was the other thing I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
That was the other thing I noticed is as I'm making stuff up about the components. I mean, it's fleshing them out a little bit, giving them some kind of personality. Not a ton, but just like, who are these people? I found myself, like, unconsciously, like, the thoughts came unbidden. Well, I wonder what this knight would do with that. I wonder what that knight would do with that. Because I don't know if you've ever had that experience where you're making something, whatever. Right. There's character, and people are going to bring the characters they're going to bring because that's who they bring, because that's their freaking character.
Yeah.
And you start to wonder, I wonder if Jason's going to take the hook on this. I mean, not that I want him to do, but like, no. I'll give you an example.
But again, what's wrong with that? I mean, this is just, as long as it's sort of the personal version of table talk.
Right, yeah.
You're just, I guess, just let the brain run, I mean,
yeah.
Just as long as you say, okay, and whatever, at the end of that musing, then that's cool. I mean, we're really talking about, I know you're really getting into this idea of emergence during play, organic play, agency during play, and all that kind of thing. Don't plan. All this is great. I mean, obviously, I'm thrilled to watch you and watch you guys just seize this. Not that you haven't been doing it in your own way, but here, like, the game is on your side in doing it, right? And so I'm watching you guys really kind of seize on that. That's great. But that doesn't mean you can't, like, it's not like you're not allowed to think.
Oh, yeah, no, I get it. It was a moment of, like,
passes your brain through. But maybe you saw, like, and if I were thinking the other way, I would go down that road and start really trying to angle for it.
Yeah, maybe just kind of, like, angle this component towards Kai Ernst or towards Ingolf, or, like, I bet you, and just trying to, like, I guess it's natural. It's nothing I'm worried about, like, oh, man, I'm doing this wrong. It's just like, it's kind of funny. Because I've played other games where I've just, made something someplace and said, you know what? There was one game I was playing, totally different. We were playing Lamentations of the Flame Princess, as a matter, one time. And there was it's not really important, but there's a village. It's surrounded by all these wards. And if I figured, well, if you take 3 of them off, something really bad's going to happen. It was a tripwire is what it was. Mm-hmm. It was like, and there was no reason for them to do it. But I said, you know what? The one player's character is this zealot.
He's always doing that shit. Yeah.
Well, no, he hates Christianity. So I said, you know what? I'm going to make him just crosses, like old rusty crosses. He pulled up all.
Of course, yeah, that's right. He's going to throw them down.
Every single demo. But I put it there. I didn't know what the hell the wards were going to be, just the piles of stone or whatever. So you know what? I'm going to make him crosses just for the hell of it. And because I knew character was coming, and son of a bitch, he took the bait. And not that I wanted to do that. It was.
I understand it, and there are some people who say that that's what they want to do in play, and I don't really have a judgment about it, except that to me, really making that a priority really making
Right.
that a part, of your toolbox. I'm going in, making sure there's something for Bob, something for Joe, something for
No,
Jane.
no, yeah.
You see what I mean? I mean, it starts
Yeah.
becoming manipulative even.
Right.
And it also sort of presupposes that without you, they wouldn't like do shit.
Right. Yeah. That. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I know. There's
Yeah.
a difference. Yeah. Absolutely.
There's something you said in your reflection,
All
or
right.
at some point in one of the comments in the venture, and it had to do with the way that you were counting named NPCs.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I know there's a, and then it was weird because I had an interesting reaction to this. First of all, I thought it was weird to do.
Yeah. It was something that came
And,
unbidden. Like it was almost like, dude, don't do that. But
well,
it's a
but
kind.
you
It's
see,
the
and then
curse
there's
of
the
knowledge.
second layer of weirdness, which was your guilt
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, what I'm pointing out is that,
Yeah.
first of all, it doesn't matter if I think it's weird that you did it, because I do, but that's
Right.
okay. You
Right.
know? And then I'm like, and then you just blow it past, and keep playing, and it's kind of,
Well, that's what I try to do. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like, okay,
but it's not.
You kind of notice. Yeah.
but it's not. But again, let's say you did, like, say, oh, there's two components here. So what?
Yeah.
What? How does that hurt play if you know that now?
Did I use the jazz example from my friend Herb that I used to share an office with?
Maybe.
And that it was the idea. I shared an office with this guy Herb. Herb was this excellent jazz saxophonist. We found out we had played together years ago.
Oh,
No
right.
kidding. Like
Uh-huh.
after we played, worked together for a year. But one day I'm walking by the office. Herb's listening to country western. I'm like, you look, check this guy. I was like, no way. And I'm like, Herb, what do you listen to?
Oh, it
And he goes-
depends. Little Merle Haggard, right? Little Willie Nelson.
No,
It's
this
all
was
right.
this a little different. This is, and he's like, oh, he goes, it's the only music I can listen to and not analyze, and I can just listen to it. He goes, because I'm always, if I listen to jazz, if I listen to classical, if I listen to a lot of stuff, it wasn't the only one, but that's the one we were talking about. He's like, I will analyze the music. I'll start to take it apart. He goes, but here, there's so little to actually analyze. I can just listen.
You could
to
just rock along. Yeah.
Yeah, and he goes, I love it. He goes, I enjoy it. So it's the same kind of thing. But I thought about it. It's that kind of like curse of knowledge. Like once you understand how a game works, you can't help but see the chord changes.
Right.
And I say, oh,
Right.
there's an inversion there, and
Right.
wasn't that kind of interesting what they did? And it comes like unbidden. It's like that. What could you fail? Everybody would fail the test of. There's a sign that says, "Don't read this."
No, of course
But
not.
You blew it.
Yeah.
You blew it. It's the
Yeah.
same kind of thing.
No, that's
So it
fair.
was-
I mean, I get that, but again, since there's no consequence of knowing, it's cool.
Yeah. Right.
The notion that since there are no puppet wires in Circle of Hands,
Right.
seeing mechanisms when they are there doesn't have the same, like, fourth wall breaking or contract breaking, social contract breaking charge
Right.
that it has in other role playing games. You see the GM, manipulating you and say something like, and the one guy looks a little uncomfortable. You're talking to the
Right.
two thugs, and the two thugs are like
Right.
intransigent, but then after a little bit of them being intransigent, he says, and the one guy looks a little uncomfortable. And you're supposed to,
Right. Right.
talk
Yeah.
to the one guy, maybe be a little more sympathetic, be a little more threatening, whatever. And then he will, of course, belch forth the reason
Right.
why you came here was to get whatever it was he was going to provide. And you know this, and you see the technique. You see that, the player character that the GM isn't favoring, is treated fairly but neutrally, but the player character that he is favoring, the bad wizard gets punched and the scroll flies out of his hands and it rolls to the feet of that player character.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm familiar. I know all the fucking tricks. Totally.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And
I
so-
puked the end.
I know, and I know them all. And so the trouble is that when it is the puppet master thing,
Right.
it's really bad form in some play, and most play, to know it. So
Right.
you're supposed to feel bad. You're not immersing,
Right.
son of a bitch, right?
Right, right.
You're not doing it right if you're gonna note this and not comment on it. That's just bad.
Yeah.
That's talking during the movie. That's ruining the
Yeah.
trick. That's all those things. and but in Circle of Hands or in Sorcerer, you're playing those, and the mechanisms are there because we're fucking using them.
Right. I get it.
It's okay. It's like having the pipes. It's getting rid of the dropped ceiling, right? There are the pipes.
Yeah.
All right then, isn't that cool?